Someone was a man who believed in love with all his heart. He had always been the kind of person who dreamt of finding someone to spend his life with, and he found that person in Tina. They met by chance, a casual introduction through mutual friends, and quietly turned into something more. Tina was everything Samuel had ever wanted: kind, caring, and with a sense of humor that never failed to make him smile. They married after a whirlwind romance, and within a year they welcomed their son, a little boy who became the center of their world. Life seemed perfect for Samuel. He had a beautiful wife, a son who brought endless joy, and a home filled with love. The 2 years of their marriage had been blissful, with hardly any troubles to speak of. Samuel adored Tina, and Tina adored Samuel, and together they doted on their son. They built a life that was solid and happy, full of shared dreams and plans for the future. One day, on his way to work, Samuel ran into Esther, an old flame from his past. She was the one who had gotten away, a relationship that ended abruptly and left Samuel with a mix of unresolved feelings. Seeing her for all these years brought back memories that he thought he had buried long ago. Esther hadn't changed much. She was still a captivating as he remembered, with an easy charm that made it hard to stay indifferent. They exchanged pleasantries, catching up on each other's lives. Esther was single, and as they talked, Samuel couldn't help but feel a tug at something deep inside him. They decided to keep in touch, and before long, they were meeting regularly for coffee, just to remember about the past. As their meetings became more frequent, Samuel found himself drawn to Esther in a way that was hard to explain. He started to question his feelings for Tina, wondering what he felt for Esther was something more than just love. The pull towards Esther grew stronger with each encounter, and soon Samuel was unable to think about anything else. He convinced himself that he was falling in love with her all over again. At home, Samuel's behavior changed. He became distant, often lost in thought, and his affection towards Tina became a one. He was no longer the attentive husband she knew, and Tina noticed the shift almost immediately. She asked him if everything was okay, but Samuel brushed her off, saying he was just tired from work. But the truth was, Samuel's heart was no longer fully in their marriage. A part of it had wandered back to Esther. Tina, sensing that something was wrong, grew increasingly anxious. She tried to rekindle the connection they once had, but Samuel's indifference made it difficult. He was distracted, often coming home late, and when he was home, his mind seemed to be elsewhere. The warmth that once filled their home became a fade, replaced by a coldness that Tina couldn't ignore. As time passed, Samuel's obsession with Esther deepened. He couldn't stay away from her, and their relationship began to cross lines that should have been crossed. He knew he was betraying Tina, but the thrill of being with Esther was too powerful to resist. He was caught in a web of his own making, torn between the life he had with Tina and the intense emotions that Esther awakened in him. Then, one evening, after spending the day with Esther, Samuel returned home to find Tina waiting for him. She was quiet, her eyes filled with a sadness that he had never seen before. She didn't say anything, but the silence between them spoke volumes. Samuel felt a pang of guilt, but he quickly pushed it aside, convincing himself that he was doing nothing wrong. But as the days went on, strange things started to happen. Samuel began to have vivid dreams about Esther, dreams that left him feeling disoriented and uneasy. Objects in their home seemed to move on their own, and at night he had whispers that he couldn't explain. He tried to ignore it, but the sense of dread grew stronger with each passing day. One night, the whisper grew louder, filling his ear with voices he couldn't understand. He woke up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding in his chest. It was then he realized something was terribly wrong. Dreams, the whispers, they weren't just figments of his imagination. It felt as true. Something dark was pulling him towards Esther, something beyond his control. Terrified, Samuel confided in Tina, telling her everything about his meeting with Esther, the affairs and the strange occurrences that had been plaguing him. Tina listened in silence, her face pale and her eyes determined. She knew that whatever was happening, they needed to fight it together. Tina rushed out to an old friend who was knowledgeable in spiritual matters. They performed a cleansing ritual, whatever force had taken hold of him. The ritual was intense, with moments of suspense as Samuel fought against the invisible power that seems to be controlling him. He felt as tall as he was being torn apart, his mind and body at war with each other. Throughout it all, Tina stayed by his side, holding his hand and whispering words of love and encouragement. She refused to let him go, even when it seems like the darkness was winning. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the whisper stopped and the strange presence lifted. Samuel collapsed into Tina's arm, exhausted but free. The next morning, Samuel woke up feeling different. The fog that had clouded his mind was gone, and he was filled with a deep sense of remorse. He realized how close he had come to losing everything he held dear, all for a fleeting infatuation. He looked at Tina, who had stayed by his side through it all, and felt a surge of love and gratitude. With tears in his eyes, Samuel apologized to Tina, promising to be the husband and father he should have been all along. Tina, though hurt by his betrayal, forgave him. She knew that their love had been tested in the most unimaginable way, and yet it had survived. Together, they began to rebuild their life, stronger and more united than ever before. The shadow of Esther faded from Samuel's thoughts, a distant memory that no longer held any power over him. He devoted himself to his family, cherishing every moment with Tina and their son, grateful for the second chance he had been given. And as they moved forward, Samuel vowed never to let anything come between them again. So guys, that's the end of this story named Echoes of My Past. Please do well to subscribe, click the bell for a notification so you can get notified anytime we drop a new video. Thank you.